what I'm going to do is just turn to Jason. And Jason, what sort of themes or messages are you spotting coming through there from our online contributors?
There's a whole bunch of questions around pricing and yield and IP, and actually somebody's just asked why we don't franchise some of these things. The other one is government has to facilitate, not keep changing stuff, and I guess there's a concern that we swing from Labor to National, and maybe those policies aren't really consistent. Yeah. Sure.
Okay, let me just pick up on that one point about the transition from the previous government to this government. The previous government, rather late in the piece, magnificent piece of lobbying by Jim Anderton, came up with a Fast Forward Fund. So a very big chunk of money committed up front for government-industry partnership to drive quite big technology change in the industry and also commercial capability. The new government comes in and says, all smoke and mirrors, the money's not there, don't like it, and bins Fast Forward Fund, creates the Primary Growth Partnership instead, which looks remarkably like the Fast Forward Fund, except that Bill English has clawed all the money back close to his chest. In fact, many of the same people, including Bill Faulkner as chair, are back in the Primary Growth Partnership. So it's a somewhat scaled-back version of the Fast Forward Fund. It's nowhere near as long-term in terms of funding. But to the two of you, does it look as though that's been a reasonably okay transition between the two governments, or has something been lost around innovation policy with that shift in programme?
Look, I'll declare my interests in the statements I'm about to make. I mean, I don't think that it really matters that much, the government tinkering with changing stuff around, you know, because you can only work with what you've got. The key thing about New Zealand, though, is that we have this fixation with the incumbents in the industries. And I pick up on Peter's point, I mean, and go back to the point I made before, that real innovation in industry usually comes from the nimble startups within well-established industries. And the government should not be putting money into the big incumbents. One, because they've got their own resources to do it. And if they aren't using them well enough, well, you know, if I need government money in 20 years' time, remind me that I said tonight I don't want any, all right?
Until you're really big.
Yeah. The big might keep getting bigger as I get bigger, of course. But if you really want to push innovation, you pick the movers and shakers who are young and making a big bet themselves and have to make it work, and you pour resources in around them. I mean, it's all around the world, again, it's there. And yet in New Zealand, the problem with both of these systems is that they are starving the young, nimble startups of funds, and they've been completely captured by the big incumbents, by the way they're established. Now, that is wasting money. And one thing we cannot do in New Zealand is waste money, because we're a poor nation now. Now, we just lost $10 billion last year. And so, sorry, but we have to make choices about where we put our money, and the place to put it is not with the big incumbents who have got their own resources, and you're not going to increase their rate of innovation by putting more in there. It is to concentrate it and pick some winners who are going to make a big difference within important industries.
Okay, thanks.
Now I don't see that happening in either.
Right, yeah.